day, ladies and gentlemen, and good day, Ma'am David. This is the final project presentation of Group 2, which is all about making database using MySQL. Before we start making database using MySQL, we gather first the information from the business we choose. The business we choose is Milk Tea Shop and its name is Presti Pembo Makati, which is located in Block 255, Lot 3, Sampaguita Street, Pembo, Makati City, Metro Manila. They have Facebook page named Presti Pembo. The business background information is Presti Pembo is authentic Taiwan milk tea comes from the finest ingredients located in Pembo, Makati City, Metro Manila, near Stockhouse. They provide a friendly, comfortable atmosphere where the customer can receive quality milk tea. The Presti Pembo offer a variety of choices to the customers. Milk tea of all sorts is offered. How they store and manage their data. As stated by Mr. Redwin Ricamara of Presti Pembo, they store and manage data using traditional method by using pen and paper or notebook. We also gather the different product of Presti Pembo that you will see in your screen. We are the one who generate the product code and we gather the product name, price, size, and product description based on the menu of Milk Tea Shop. After gathering product information, we also gather Presti Pembo employees information like their first name, last name, gender, birth date, phone number, and address. As you can see in your screen, Presti Pembo has 3 employees, named Redwin Ricamara, Andrew Epono, and Lady Raimundo. And they have 3 suppliers named Dragon Milk Tea Supplier Wholesale, Milk Tea Wholesaler Online, and Milk Tea Supplier PH. We also make the entity relationship diagram that you can also see in your screen. We will start in the database naming. We come up in the name Presti _ Pembo _ Makati because our chosen store is Presti Pembo Makati. The said store has no database yet, so we are the first one who will make their first ever database. After naming the database, we create 4 different tables, and these are Employees Table, Products Table, Suppliers Table, and Transactions Table that we will demonstrate and explain by each group member. First is Employee Table that Mr. Calisaan will demonstrate and discuss to you. Mr. Calisaan, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Now, I will demonstrate and explain to you the employee table. The employee table consists of different columns like the employee ID, first name, last name, gender, birth date, phone number, and address. As you can see in your screen, the employee table structure is as follows. First is employee ID. The type of its intent unsigned because we want to limit the integer maximum value to 10. And we set is a primary key and serve as parent table, and this field is auto increment. Second and third is first name and last name that has type which is varchar 15, actually allocates dynamically up to 16 bytes, up to 15 for data, and at least 1 additional bytes to store the length of the data. Fourth is gender. We use the type enumerations for male, female because it enables for a variable to be a set of predefined constant. The variable must be equal to one of the values that have been predefined for it. Fifth is birth date, which has a date type because we want to retrieve and display date values in year, month, day format. Date type is used for values with a date part but no time part. The support range for date type is 1000, 1, 1, 2, 9900, 1231. 6 is phone number. It is char 11 because it returns the character value of the given integer value according to APDEV table. It ignores the null value. And as we know, in the Philippines, different telco mobiles, phone numbers are always 11 digits including the prefix 0. And lastly, 7 is address which has varchar 50 type because it stores of maximum of 50 characters that can use in the address of employee. Now, we will go to product table that will demonstrate and discuss by Mr. Rivera. Mr. Rivera, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Calisaan. Now we will proceed to product table. As you can see in your screen, the table structure for product table is as follows. First is product code, which is varchar 15. It is appropriate type for product code, and it is because it stores values as a 1 byte or 2 byte length prefix plus data. The length prefix indicates the number of bytes in the value. We use varchar because it stores data, either numeric or character or both. It is best suited in the column product code because as you can see, our product code is mixed letters and numbers. Second is product name. The type of it is varchar 30 that can hold up to 30 characters. The length of a char column is fixed to the length that you declare when you create the table. So, it is best suited in the product name because as you can see, some of the Presti multi-product name is too long. So to be sure, we set high numbers so it can hold many characters. Third to fifth is product size and product price. The type of it is int 10 because we want to store numbers in the maximum value of 10 digits. We set int 10 to be sure that all numbers in product size and price is accepted. Sixth is product description that has type which is varchar 50 because we want in this column to store maximum 50 characters. Because as you can see, product description is the only one that has many characters consumed. That is why product description is set to varchar 50 that will accept 50 characters. And lastly, seventh is supplier ID that has type which is int 10. So it will store the maximum value which is 10 digits that is best suited in the supplier ID. And also, supplier ID serves as the parent table while products table is known as the child table because the products table references the suppliers table. And this relationship of the supplier table and products table is best example of one-to-many relationship because one supplier can supply many products. Now, we will proceed to the supplier table that will demonstrate and discuss by Ms. Curitana. Ms. Curitana, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Now, we will proceed to the supplier table. As you can see in your screen, a table structure for supplier table is as follows. First is supplier ID. The type of it is int 10 unassigned because we want to limit the integer maximum value to 10. And we set it as a primary key to serve as a parent table, and this is field is auto underscore increment. Second is supplier name. It has a type which is varchar 50 because we want in this column to store maximum 50 characters. And we set it the type of supplier name to varchar 50 to be sure that different number of characters under supplier name will be accepted. So, we cannot experience error while inputting and storing data of the supplier. And lastly, this is supplier phone number. The type of it is char 11 because as we know in the Philippines, different telco phone numbers are always 11 digit, including the prefix 0. Now, we will go to transaction table that will demonstrate and discuss by Mr. Guzman. Mr. Guzman, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Curitana. I'll now demonstrate and discuss the transaction table. The structure of the transaction table is as follows. First is the customer transaction number. We use the type varchar15 since, as my co-member said, it actually allocates dynamically up to 16 bytes up to 15 for data, and at least one additional byte to store the length of data. Also, we set it primary key and serve as parent table. The second is the date. It has date type since we want to retrieve and displace date values in year, month, date format. The date type is used for values with the date part but no time part. The supported range for date 1001 1 to 9999 1231. The third is the product bot. We also use the type varchar15 since using this is the best type because it stores data either numeric or character or both. Fourth is the quantity. The type of it is 10 unsigned because we want to limit the integer maximum value to 10. And lastly is employee ID that has type in 10, so it will store the maximum value, which is 10 digits. Also, employee ID serve as the parent table while the transaction table is known as the child table because the transaction table references the employee table. So now, I will give the screen to Mr. Rivera. Mr. Rivera, the screen is yours.
In this database, we use the following source code, followed by its output.
First, create database. Press T _Pembo _Makati that will output the new database. This database will display and can be used if we type the source code show database. And putting source code, use press T _Pembo _Makati, and this is its output.
Second is create table followed by table name and followed by the table structure. Field type null, key, default, and extra. We use this in making table like employee, product, suppliers, and transaction table in database. The structure of each table is demonstrated and discussed to you a while ago by my fellow group members. This is the output of the source code.
Third is insert into table name values followed by the content that we want to input in the tables. We use this to input and store data in different tables like employees, products, suppliers, and transaction table in database. This is the output.
And lastly, fourth, it is the source code for the relationship of two tables. First is alter table, products, and add column supplier ID, int, unsigned, not null. We use it because instead of deleting and recreating the products table, we shall use the code alter table to add a new column supplier ID into the products table. And lastly, second is update products set supplier ID equals 1001 semicolon alter table products add foreign key, open parenthesis, supplier ID, close parenthesis. References suppliers, open parenthesis, supplier ID, close parenthesis, semicolon. And update products, set supplier ID equals 1002, where product code equals CC3796, semicolon, and so on. We use this source code because we want to make a relationship in two tables by adding a foreign key constraint on the supplier ID columns of the products child table to the supplier's parent table to ensure that every supplier ID in the products table always refers to a valid supplier ID in the suppliers table. This is called referential integrity. Before we can add the foreign key, we need to set the supplier ID of the existing records in the products table to a valid supplier ID in the suppliers table. We can say supplier ID equals 1001. It can be used to query and join data from two related tables. We use it in the relationship of products name in products table and supplier's name in suppliers table. And its relationship is suppliers can supply many products and many products can supply by a supplier. This is the output of the PIP source code. We also use this source code in the relationship of the employee ID in employee table and transaction number in transactions table. If customer bought a product, he or she have unique transaction number that has relationship with the employee ID in employee table. Because employee can be assigned to serve in many customers, as you can see in the table. And that brings us to the end of our final project presentation in information management, entitled Making Database Using MySQL. Thank you and have a nice day.
Submitted by Group 2. Submitted to Professor Marlena David. Group Member 1 and Video Editor Rivera, Mark Angelo P. Group Member 2 Calisaan, Nick Jamel. Group Member 3 Curitana, Naomi R. And lastly, Group Member 4 Guzman, Domnie. Thanks for watching.